Before the top of the hour, Carl Gallups is our guest. Carl, unfold for us, if you can, again, remind everybody of the elements that are involved in this, Obama fraud criminal prosecution case that Lieutenant Mike Zulu has been working on, along with Joe Arpaio, for years now.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Yeah, he has been working on it for years. Well, very generally, the case is that when Obama finally did proffer a so-called long-form birth certificate to the world, really, when he went on television and said, here it is, and then it was placed on the White House website. All manner of people jumped on it, digital document experts, just looking at it out of curiosity, and it was just within a matter of hours that it hit the internet that, hey, this thing is creepy. It's fraudulent. It's layered together. It's not correct. Bottom line is, Arpaio was petitioned by hundreds of people within his county to investigate it as a possible fraud against Maricopa County voters, et cetera, et cetera. He assembled a cold case posse. They started tearing the thing apart, looking at it. 15-month criminal investigation involving a bevy of digital document experts, a couple of digital document laboratories, including one that is certified to testify before the Supreme Court and every federal court in the land. Other authorities of same type of credentials have signed off on the case, declaring that Arpaio's investigation is 100% accurate and legitimate, and that the document proffered by the White House is a 100% forged fraud. It's a forgery. It's a fabrication, which, Bill, goes to criminal activity. I mean, that's a felony. That's a federal offenses. You can't supply forged, fraudulent, fabricated documents as your only identifying document that makes you eligible to serve as the commander-in-chief of the number one superpower in the world. I mean, you can't do it, and not legally, not constitutionally, but this White House has done it. And by the way, remind your listeners, that is the only piece of paper ever proffered by this White House and this man in the Oval Office ever to prove who he is. So The bottom line is, all we have is a piece of worthless paper. We still don't know who he is. Now, this is not a birther issue. At this point, Arpaio and I and others, we could care less where he was born. I mean, that may all come out in it, and that is an important fact, of course. But this case that we're moving forward is not really about where he was born. At this point, criminally speaking, we don't care. The case that's moving forward is there was a fraudulent document, fabricated, felonious document that is proffered by the White House to identify the man in the Oval Office. Now, two questions. Number one, who did it? Somebody needs to go to prison for it. I don't think Obama himself sat down at a computer and did this. But, I mean, obviously it points to the fact that he may have ordered it done, or people around him ordered it done. So that's a big question. And then the second and the most important question, Bill, is why? I mean, if you were the president and this controversy was swirling around your head for 5 years, you would have 5 years ago gotten your White House attorneys together and said, look, solve this thing. Go to Hawaii, get my document, get the microfiche, get the originals, get the hard copies, get whatever you want. I am the president of the United States. Get these documents into the hands of the press, and let's move on.
You would think.
Yes, of course. But, of course, he has done the exact opposite. He is obfuscated. He is, he has marginalized anyone who's asked questions. He's lampooned and lambasted. He's hidden. He's locked down documents. And the one document he did offer is a fabrication and a forgery. An absolute fraudulent piece of paper. I mean, this is huge. This is 100 times bigger than Watergate. It's bigger than the Lewinsky scandal. I mean, this may be the biggest fraud ever perpetrated upon the American people in the history of our nation, and it could be, Bill, the biggest fraud ever perpetrated upon a people in the history of the world.
Well, that's what I was thinking, Carl. I just think this fraud is just absolutely so incredible. it goes back. It hastens you to remember, what was said, with the Nazis, is that, small lies are one thing, but it's the big lies that people seem to believe in. The bigger the lie, the more people believe in it. And it is amazing to me.
Yeah, and you know what I've discovered through this, and I've been the victim of it myself early on. I'm not anymore. I've lost my innocence in this. But there was a certain level of innocence about America and Americans concerning the office of presidency. And that is, by and large, we have always just maintained and trusted that when a man or a woman makes it to the the primaries and to the presidential election, that they have been thoroughly vetted by their parties and by people around them, and we know who they are, and there was just an innocency about it, so that when this guy just brazenly and boldly just locks down all of his document, marches right through the process, defying, sticking his thumb on his nose and giving us all the razz, telling us, it doesn't matter who I am. I'm running for president. And I think, like you said, it was so big. I mean, the ramifications of this are so monumentally huge that it overwhelms people. People can't wrap their mind around it. People don't want to believe it because we still have this innocence about us that not in America, this wouldn't happen. And this is what happens in Venezuela. This is what happens in Cuba. This is what happens in Iran and North Korea. This doesn't happen in America. Well, I've got news for you, folks. It has happened in America.
Well, it's a wake-up call for the citizenry, Carl, that we need to realize that, the power is in the people. And for so long, we've abdicated that power to 545 elected officials. And we, the people, are beginning to wake up and understanding, and also looking at maybe it's time for a second American Revolution where the people stand up and say, we're not going to take this anymore.
Yeah.
This could very well be the straw that broke the camel's back to say, you know what, you guys are just totally incompetent, from the top on down, and we need to get our act together. We need to get more involved and understand what our rights are, as they're stated in our Constitution, and we need to reclaim those rights back once again and put the power where it belongs, and that's with the people and not with these elected officials that continue to treat us like, we're in a jar and somebody's playing with us.
Well, Bill, well stated, excellently stated, and I can say this, I've told people many times, the first American Revolution was fought over less than this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it was. I mean, you think about, what if, a completely foreign king, for example, had usurped the throne of Great Britain back in the 1700s, 1600s, and then started breaking their constitution and their laws and unleashing all manner of atrocities upon the colonies. I mean, that would have been, of course, people would have said, of course they need to revolt. Well, the first founding fathers revolted over less than what's happening, because it looks like that very scenario, not only has that happened, but he's commander-in-chief, Bill. He's directing American military forces all over the world. And what if he is not even an American citizen? I mean, that's a possibility so far. There's more evidence to suggest that he's not an American citizen right now that we have in our possession than there is evidence to suggest that he is. So,
and I know there's people right now, Carl, that are, throwing their hands up and just screaming, and it's just, it smacks of the line from A Few Good Men, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
And this is where America is finding itself, is that, are you ready for the truth?
Well, absolutely right. And you speak of an American Revolution, and what I am desperately praying for and working for is a political and spiritual revolution. I know you don't want it, and I don't want a bloody revolution. I don't want us fighting a war in our front yards like the American Revolution was, or the Civil War. That would be atrocious, and I'm trying to head that off. I'm working hard, and Zulo and Arpaio and many, many others, and now all of these VIPs and these groups of VIPs that are piling on board this case and getting ready to bring it forward. We're working hard to bring about a political, legal, and even spiritual revolution to try to turn this nation back around if it's not too late, if God's judgment hasn't fallen.
Exactly.
But I can tell you another interesting turn in this case that just broke yesterday is there is a case before the Alabama Supreme Court right now in Judge Roy Moore's court. Judge Roy Moore has asked for this case to come forward, and he has no love for Obama. And it's a civil case, but it goes to whether or not Obama was eligible to be on the Alabama ballot.
Right.
Roy Moore has said on several occasions, he has been quoted as saying something like I said a moment ago, that there's less evidence for his citizenship than there is for it. And so Roy Moore gets it. He gets it. And there is a case before his Supreme Court. And the breaking news that happened just yesterday, and we reported it on P.P. Simmons News, is that Lieutenant Zullo confirmed to me by a phone call that he and Sheriff Arpaio are getting ready to cooperate fully with the Alabama Supreme Court in presenting evidence and anything that they can to help Alabama make this ruling that Obama was absolutely illegitimate and ineligible to be on the Alabama ballot. If that happens, that could cause a snowball effect across this nation.
Well, it'd be most amazing, and I know there are some Americans that are just saying, why can't this just go away? But like any lie, it cannot go away until it's exposed for what it is, Carl, right?
Yes, absolutely. No, this is monumental. This goes to the core of our Constitution and who we are.
Exactly. Well, Carl Gallups has been our guest. His latest book, The Magic Man in the Sky, if you